The next person I wish to call on is Dr. Sitaram, the Director of the Institute of Water Policy at the Lee Kuan Yew School.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. I want to request you to share your thoughts for the young people in Singapore, the young citizens and also the young students who are in Singapore, about the nexus between water, food and health. We all heard from you and also the various documents that Singapore has successfully solved the water problems. But Singapore still imports food from other parts around the region. Unfortunately, those countries do not have clean water or proper sanitation. So what are your thoughts for the young people of Singapore who perhaps have not seen the difficulties about water management like what Professor Koh shared? And moving forward, what should be their role? Singapore has become a global city. What should be their role in addressing these issues?
Well, first, I hope Singaporeans appreciate how lucky we have been. That we've more or less got the problems worked out and have them under control. We still import food, as you point out, and even for water, if we are doing reverse osmosis or desalination, you have to import energy because nothing is for free, and somewhere you have to have that energy source in order to get this clean water. So we remain dependent on the world, and I think we will always be as a very small island. There's no alternative to that. And I think if Singaporeans understand that, that will be a great help. At the same time, we hope that Singaporeans will have an idealistic streak in them and will go out and do good works and to help other countries also to progress and to make their own steps forward. And I think quite a number of young people do that. We have the Singapore International Foundation. They organize missions, expeditions. And people go under all sorts of rubrics. And I hope they will continue to do that. But at the same time, go with an attitude of learning and not with the attitude that I have the answers that I'm preaching to the world.
Thank you. The next person is Ms. Sahana Singh, who is the editor of Asian Water. Sahana?
Yeah, thank you, Professor Koh, for the opportunity. My question to you, Prime Minister, is that in the past decade, Singapore has made great strides in water management, and we all know about it. Maybe my question is somewhat similar to what was asked by some others, but I think it's worth repeating. Now we all know that there are 2.6 billion people in Asia, in the world, who do not have access to safe sanitation. And out of that, we have 1.84 billion people living in Asia. So this is a very grim figure. And I think it is a matter of great shame, not just for Asia, but even Singapore, because Singapore is in Asia. So, of course, I'm very proud that Singapore has solved its own problems, but I feel it can play a much greater role in providing leadership in sanitation for the surrounding countries. Of course, you mentioned that there are partnerships going on with Cambodia, and there is an Institute of Water Policy, but I feel that a lot more can be done. I mean, there should be partnerships with many other cities in Asia in order to raise the sanitation situation in the country, in the world. I'd like your opinion.
Well, we will, I think, we are 5 million people in Singapore, and Asia, as you point out, 1.8 billion in need of water solutions. Sanitation. So we will try our best, but our resources are limited. I would say that all over Asia there's a need for infrastructure, because as the countries are growing, you have to build not just water, but electricity grids, roads, highways, trains, and so on, telecoms networks, fiber networks. And countries are going about it in different ways and with different degrees of success. India has made it a priority, and I think has been making some progress in recent years, although still a long way to go. The Chinese have invested enormously in this, and I think with some significant success. I mean, the high-speed train is something which is visible and spectacular, but their telephone grids, their telephone networks, their electricity supplies, their road networks have all improved enormously, and their water networks too.
Yes.
And quite a number of Singapore companies, and I'm sure non-Singapore companies as well, are in China doing either providing clean water or processing wastewater all over the country. I think there must be several dozen Singapore projects there, and
Yes.
there must be hundreds all over China. So I think that these are things which countries have to do. They have to invest, because infrastructure, you have to put taxpayers' money. You can have private partnerships. You can have foreign investments in, and you work on a commercial basis. You can have World Bank projects. But I think the scale is enormous, and the governments must make it priorities.
PM, can I have your moral support to encourage my colleagues to think of how Singapore can be a thought leader in the field of sanitation as we have become in water? Because it's really a very neglected topic. And world leaders are more willing to talk about water than sanitation. And there's money to be made here too, So maybe we can grow an indigenous sanitation industry.
Yeah, there's money to be made. You must enforce the standards, and you must close the loop. We did that. I mean, as you pointed out at the beginning, 1.5 generations ago, a lot of Singaporeans didn't have sanitation, and you either had a hole in the ground or a little outhouse, and then the truck will come every few days and take the bucket away. And that continued until, I think, within the last 20 plus years. Mm-hmm. Today is all sewered up. But I think one point which was a significant step for us, and you might find interesting, is that we also used to treat sanitation and clean water supply completely separately. And the clean water supply was under the Public Utilities Board, and the sanitation business was a sewerage department in a completely different ministry, the Ministry of Environment. But we did the project to do new water, and we found that if you treated the used water, the sewage properly, you could get good drinking or good clean water out of that. But to make two different ministries work together and to optimize the whole water cycle is not easy. So we decided better put the two together. And we took the sanitation part, we put it together under the Public Utilities Board. So today it is an integrated water management agency which covers the complete water cycle. And you can optimize so that you are responsible for both the sewage treatment as well as the new water production as well as the conservation. And you have every incentive to optimize the whole cycle. And in fact, they are doing research on that lines because they have discovered that if we can improve the sewage treatment process, then you can actually save on the new water production, and overall you have a more efficient and a cheaper solution. And we need to continue to find this kind of solutions. But the first thing is get the organization aligned right.